speaking of Academy Awards, the man, the myth, the legend, Nicolas Kim Cage. So he has a cool movie coming out that we saw that trailer for.
Is his name really Kim? Is that it? That's his middle name?
That is his middle name, yep.
That's a shoot?
That is a shoot. Nicolas Kim Cage. He has a new movie coming out that we think is going to relaunch him. He's going to have a relaunching of his career. I mean, everyone knows of him, and he's still making films, but I guess this will make him mainstream again?
I mean, he is kind of mainstream, but sort of as he's mainstream as sort of an underground character, I guess you could say, or an ironic character.
Yeah, this. I feel like this is gonna be the 20s version of being John Malkovich, where everybody was just like it was very. Remember, that was very meta. Brought Malkovich back into this is gonna be the Nick Cage effect with the unbearable weight of massive talent.
Okay, yeah. So I texted you about this. That new trailer for that movie is fantastic.
Oh, it's great.
It
hit everything.
That's going to get the folks in the theater. That's going to sell some tickets.
Because
I think it's like it's. I thought it was like a small indie movie, and this movie makes it look like it's a high budget, high concept comedy that you would see Jim Carrey in or something like that.
Well, they got Pedro Pascal, right? They got the Mandalorian.
Shout out to Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, they got him. I mean, it's going to be, and they got Tiffany Haddish. So you're going to have the comedy in there. I don't know. It felt like it was just casted so well. And the chemistry between Nicolas Cage and Pascal in the trailer alone made you want to go see it.
Yeah, and I wish we could play the trailer here without getting shut down because I would like to watch it again.
We will get shut down. Thank you, Steven Seagal. The rumors are true. He's an asshole.
It's true.
It's true.
Are we we can't be the first podcast to get a copyright notice from Steven Seagal.
No, and we won't be the last.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The Steven Seagal copyright thing comes with like an armbar. You get thrown into a table.
Just put you through a table. Yeah, him and his Doctor Strange goatee, or as people are calling it now, face mullets.
That's a thing? Mullet?
Face. If you have a goatee, it's a face mullet.
Wait, are goatees bad? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying. Goatees are bad.
What?
I don't know how that happened, but it did happen. But maybe it can come back around because maybe it's like if you're thinking about how it carries food around, maybe it's a fanny pack for your face.
It's like a face broom.
A face broom. Cookie crumb catcher. So I feel like my hat keeps doing something weird. Oh, okay. Anyway.
You're very matchy today. Good job on coordinating.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Colors.
I went with the DC EU, and I went with the Zack Snyder version, so you can get the black suit in there. So, but yeah. So the unbearable weight. You want to? Yeah, let's dig right in. We already got Cage on the brain. Well, when did we not have Cage on the brain? I saw a great shirt, and it was actually during like a talk. It was like a TED Talk, and they were talking about, like, you know, I'm always watching the stuff about, you know, simulation theory and stuff. And I don't know, he was wearing a shirt that said John Travolta, but it was a picture of Nicolas Cage.
I saw that too. That was in the Adam Project.
That was it.
New film on Netflix.
So it was a fake TED Talk done by Ryan Reynolds' characters.
By Mark Ruffalo.
Father Mark Ruffalo, yeah. Oh, yeah, Jeff, you're going to pretend you don't know me even though you bought drinks pretending you're me. Good job.
That's a sweet Mark Ruffalo impression. Yeah, I like that shirt too. I'd like to get that.
Yeah, that was exactly. I wanted to go on like Fright Rags or wherever you can get that type of shirt. But yeah, it was really cool. But anyway, that's how we remember. I mean, he kind of went through some different phases, right? Especially you and I, we were introduced to him through Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I was not introduced to him on Fast Times at Ridgemont High. No.
You don't remember him? He was at All American Burger, right? He was one of the cooks.
He's in it, and he has small, like, little. He doesn't even have a line in that.
No, he doesn't. He just looks up from the burger flipper spot. But I guess maybe it's not. We didn't know that we were looking at a legend until later when they came back, and you're like, Nick Cage was in Fast Times, and you're like, oh crap, and then you went back and there he was.
No, it was like one of those cameos, like when you go back and watch Breakin',
Yeah.
and you see Jean-Claude Van Damme dancing on the beach.
Right, exactly.
But no, I think the first thing I can remember him actively being in that I really liked was Raising Arizona.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that trailer, somebody was talking about that. That was like one of the perfect movies kind of like for that era that it just really stuck with her. And all I remember is him going to double axe handle, being the wrestler, somebody, and then scraping his knuckles against the stucco ceiling.
That was hilarious.
That really just sticks with me. But yeah.
Hey, JJ's on. What's up?
JJ, what's up? So yeah, we're queso catcher. Yeah, there we go. So we're on the face, the ill face mellet. But yeah, so I guess I don't remember. I remember watching. So after Fast Times, he was in Valley Girl. We knew that. That was one of the boxes that I gotta admit I walked by and I didn't watch it, and I like knew of it. He was on the box there. He was in Rumblefish, which I didn't know.
Podcat's making an appearance.
Yeah, there she is. I told you, it's the planets. Here, there's our. That's gonna be our thumbnail.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect thumbnail. That'll get clicks. But yeah, you know what? To this day, I have not seen Valley Girl.
Okay, so it's not. I feel bad. It's not just me. I was listening to the podcast you sent me, which I didn't realize it was the Shudder podcast. When Quentin Tarantino was on there, and they were just basically talking about how, with Eli Roth, you have those movies that you're embarrassed to say you didn't watch when you're known for being film guys, and they said they lied all the time, like, oh yeah, I saw that, even though they didn't say that, and they would do that for really big movies.
You just have to do it.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody to be like, oh, what?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what they said they don't want to happen, so they just pretend, and I think that would be Valley Girl. So yeah, you're right. I mean, he was in all this other stuff. Rumblefish, which I thought was a sequel to The Outsiders for the longest time.
No, they just shot it with the same crew and the same sets and
Everything,
the same actors.
so it looked pretty much the same. Ain't gonna be no Rumble without me again. Nope, it's not a sequel. Cotton Club, I didn't know he was in that. Birdy, Boy
No
and
idea. He was in Cotton Club?
Yeah, he was in Cotton Club. He was Vincent Dwyer. This was 84, Birdy, Boy in Blue, Peggy Sue Got Married. So you're right, 87, Raising Arizona was pretty much would be considered his bigger role where he really got noticed.
Now, you know what his real last name is, right?
Coppola.
And he's a nephew of a certain director named Coppola as well.
Yes, but he made the conscious effort to hide that, right? I thought that's why he went with the name change.
No, yeah, for sure.
He was one of those, like, he's the Braun Breaker of 80s Hollywood. Like, I'm not going to tell you my last name, Steiner. I'm going to make it on my own. And I guess you can say he's right. But then it just became a cool footnote to know that he was actually a Coppola.
Those early roles, I think, before Raising Arizona were mostly cameos.
Yeah.
It seemed like. And you know what? He's got kind of a character actor vibe. He doesn't seem like someone who would become a leading man.
No. Well, it was just something about, let's see if we want to get that Monster sponsorship with the cat. But you're right. He had that look that Gene Simmons was talking about this, from Kiss, that he's like, there's something about these singing shows, the talent shows, their voices are too good. Where back then you're just looking for somebody who could perform, and it had a very distinct voice, not the best voice, but a voice. And I think that was kind of what was happening with actors too. Is like, look, we don't need you to look perfect. We just need you to have a presence.
Well, if you think about it, a lot of folks that look good.
Oh, can you get?
What do we got?
Oh, yeah, she was just sneaking her tail under there.
A lot of folks that like photograph really well look strange in real life.
Yeah.
They've got like odd features that just photograph really well.
Yeah.
And Nick Cage, I don't think he has it traditionally. I guess he looks like a star now, but isn't that just because we're used to his face?
I think, yeah, we're used
because
to
like
it,
I don't
right?
think this. You see this face and immediately think that's a movie star.
No.
Right? He's got kind of a average Joe face. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think it was just like, again, he was just that, he had that, but he still had something that people were willing to take. And I don't know, maybe it's some behind the scenes stuff happens, right? Like when he's on set, obviously he really gets into his craft, the art, if you will, acting. So maybe that's something to it. And then maybe you just basically impose your will on the simulation that, like, no, I am a movie star. Jedi mind trick the whole world. It could very well be. But yeah, after that, you still hear me okay, right?
I hear you fine.
I just, for some reason, my cups did that thing they did last week.
Is it doing it again? Because
Yeah.
I replaced it. All right, never mind.
But no,
I got to fix. Something's going wrong over there.
so all good. I can hear you. So after, he did Raising Arizona, and then let's see if let's do a little movie. We're gonna do a quick. We haven't done.
I got the IMDb pulled up as well. I'll follow along.
Okay, but we haven't done movie trivia in a long time, so I'm gonna act it out. Remember, we used to do act it out. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Snap out of it.
Moonstruck.
Moonstruck, exactly. So I feel like that's when he, between Raising Arizona and Moonstruck, that's when people really start. Okay, this guy is serious.
Because that was like an Oscar movie.
Those were Oscar movies, right? And I think at that
I don't think
time-
Raising Arizona won anything, but Moonstruck was definitely an Oscar movie.
Yeah, didn't Cher won, didn't she? I
Cher
believe
won,
she
yeah.
won. If she could turn back time. I'm not going to let us get unmonetized for that. But yeah, then he was in a couple movies after that. You thought, okay, this guy is really going to be going for it. But listen to this after this. So 87 Moonstruck. We go into Vampire's Kiss, Never on Tuesday, Time to Kill,
Never on Tuesday. What is that?
Man in Red Sports Car, direct-to-video, uncredited cameo.
Oh, here's the breakdown. After their cars collide on a desert highway in the middle of nowhere, two friends and a woman they both like must wait for someone to pass by and help them. Unfortunately, those who do stop turn out to be criminals. Eccentrics or wackos, directed by Adam Rifkin.
Yeah, and he was uncredited in that.
Okay, your light's too bright. It's driving me crazy. Just vamp for 10 seconds.
Oh, I was just actually replying because we had Over the River and Through the Woods, Put the Kitty Back in the Pod cast, Con Hairs. No, we're a fan of podcat cameos for sure. You coming back? She's thinking about it. She may be back. I don't know if maybe the smell of the energy drink. She's like, I don't need energy. I'm a cat. But yeah, so we had Time to Kill, and then we had Wild at Heart, Firebirds.
Are you a fan of Wild at Heart?
Yeah, I remember liking it. I don't remember revisiting it numerous times.
You like David Lynch films? That's a David Lynch. It's wild.
Sometimes.
It's crazy.
Sometimes. I can listen to him talk about like consciousness and transcendental meditation on YouTube all day. But some of his stuff, sometimes it misses me.
Yeah, it's pretty wacky.
Yeah, so it has
What's up, Fulton?
Yeah, it just depends. But then we got into, okay, this is when he's going for the Oscar because I don't know. Oh, Zandalee was direct to video. Man, he was taking some work.
What about Firebirds? I remember that was a big dollar theater movie.
That was, yeah.
I saw that trailer so many times, but I never saw the actual film. But I think it was around the time. There was a time in the 80s, kids, where basically everything was about attack helicopters.
Yeah.
Everything was about attack helicopters for at least 5 years.
Yeah. Think about this.
Well, attack planes and everything. Just the military attack flight vehicles.
What about, Roy Schreider, right?
Yeah, Blue Thunder,
friend
yeah.
Choice. Yeah, that was like Knight Rider, but with like a helicopter, right?
It was like Airwolf, but on the big screen.
Airwolf, that was the other one. So yeah. Sorry, we went down that dirt road. But
then there was there was one with Clint Eastwood, like Firefox. Yeah, there's Flight of the Navigator.
Flight of the Navigator.
Everything was just about a flying something.
Yeah, that was big. That was obviously we got the Top Gun sequel, but that was also 87. But yeah, it was about flying. Except James Garner, who did Tank. I think that was like 88, right?
Tank? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Well, we could do a whole show on Tank, but let's not sidetrack there.
Yeah, so anyway, so it wasn't until 1992, after Firebirds, after Zandalee, Honeymoon in Vegas. That's when I think this was like the thickness of Nick Cage. We're going for the Oscar. And was he nominated?
For Honeymoon in Vegas? No,
Yeah.
That's like a wacky comedy. You're thinking of Leaving Las Vegas.
Yes, I'm thinking of least. Oh my God.
I need to double back to Raising Arizona.
Yeah, go back.
Because I think that if that movie had not happened, and him not being it, he would not be Nicolas Cage now. Because I don't think we'd have to look it up. I assume that movie didn't do that well at the box office.
No, well, I mean, it was considered an independent film. It's like
Right.
and back then, that really didn't really translate to anything at the box office. That was very lit. It's just like, you were going to get a limited release. You're going to watch it on VH. But it had everything about it was memorable.
It's the perfect
It
movie.
was Coen's. I mean,
You're
it was
underselling it. It is the perfect movie.
Yeah.
Like that.
I agree.
If there's ever a film that's perfect, it's that movie.
Well, I mean, budget was 5.5 million and it made 30 million at the box office.
So
And
that's
that's
a hit, yeah.
1987.
So that's a hit.
Yeah,
That's it.
100%.
But I think that really and it's crazy. He never did another Coen Brothers movie because I think that his quirky acting style elevated that movie so much.
Yeah,
You know?
I 100% agree with that.
I mean, and Holly Hunter's great. Everybody's great in that movie, but him as the lead, why did he never do another Coen Brothers movie?
That's the $1 million question because that's like right up their alley.
It's time to do one now.
Yeah.
Nick Cage.
I
This
think
is
we
the
can
third.
do
This
that.
okay, and like I was gonna call this segment. I wrote it down on the thing. The third age of Nick Cage.
The third age of Cage.
The third age of Cage.
I like that. Yeah, there it is. That's going to be the title
So
on that.
currently we're in the first age of Cage is what you're going over right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. We're going over the other. But you're right. Just seeing him on that box art was great. Did you know Barry Sonnenfeld was the cinematographer on that?
Yep. He did a lot of cinematography in the early 90s, late 80s.
Wow, I had no idea.
He's great. Yeah. Him and also Jan de Bont, but that's a whole other nerdy discussion. But yeah, he was a great cinematographer for a while before he became a director.
Oh wow, did not know that. That is cool stuff. But yeah, I was just listening to another podcast and they said for that time, that's when people consider that the classics that you look back at. For sure, like independent, classic, powerful performances, and like you said, it could be the perfect movie. I can hear it in my head. I hear it in my head.
That sequence where he goes to get Pampers
Oh yeah,
is just one of they should show that to kids in film school and then fucking kick them out.
yeah,
Because that's the only thing they need to see.
yeah. It's like you're done. Go back into the wild. No, it's funny you say that. And two, it wasn't. I guess it's an age thing, but there was somebody. Do you remember? It was like five years ago in our other video life. We had the Halloween contest, and somebody actually who just had a baby brought in their baby, and they went as Nick Cage. And his wife dressed up as Holly Hunter with the police costume, and then they carried the real baby, and they won for like We're Raising Arizona.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember that
Yeah,
costume
shout
at all.
out, and it won. So I mean, it translated. Like there were some people that might not have got it, but the film fiends, if you will, they got it.
Wow, no, I missed that.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good costume. All right, so we jump to, and yeah, I'm sorry, I did mix up Honeymoon in Vegas and Leaving Las
But
Vegas.
here's the thing about the first age of Nick Cage is we have mostly cameos. He had Raising Arizona, which is the greatest film of all time, probably. And then he's got Wild at Heart with David Lynch, which is if it's not your jam, it's not your jam. But it's my jam, and I think it's awesome. But a lot of it is just cameos and things that didn't really take off all that well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so from Honeymoon in Vegas, he's got like Amos and Andrew, which was like I think that was like a comedy where he's handcuffed to Sam Jackson.
Yep.
And then Guarding Tess, where he's guarding the first lady. A bunch of dollar theater stuff. And if you know, you know what I mean when I say that.
Yeah.
Dollar theater stuff. It Could Happen to You, which is a really nice movie, where he wins the lotto. Have you seen that one?
Oh yes, I do remember that. That was 94.
And then he had, let's see, Trapped in Paradise, which I really think should be revisited as a Christmas classic. Maybe you could call into Central Ice Lib TV and ask
see
them
if they
to play
play
that
it.
one day instead of March of the Wooden Soldiers.
Oh my God, I forgot about that with John Lovitz and Dana Carvey.
It's really good. It's
Oh,
really good.
wow.
I don't know why it just kind of came and went. It's a really great movie.
I mean, again, his body of work is pretty incredible when you go through here.
What did you say? 100 films?
Yeah, easily. Yeah, it's a lot of scrolling, but
So-
it's strange. So this first block, would you argue that the first Age of Cage ended with Leaving Las Vegas in 1995? So that took us from about 82 Fast Times right to 95, Kiss of Death, and Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas was the transitional point.
That was
to
the end,
next
end
Age
of the
Cage.
first Age of Cage, because obviously the next 3 films are classics.
No, more than 3.
Well, I mean, just meant like right out of the gate, back to back. Just think, when we go in 96, he did The Rock, and then 97, he did Con Air and Face Off. And I remember the excitement for Con Air and Face Off. I remember the excitement, and that Face Off is when Travolta was coming into a new age, right? That was a little bit after
Fiction
Pulp
had just
Fiction.
happened.
Yeah. So I just remember, like, those were first day viewings for me. And just think, those were 3 in a row. 3 what we would probably call required viewing, right?
Were you a Leaving Las Vegas fan?
That was the one that I felt like he was going for. At the time,
won the
I
Oscar
wasn't.
for that one.
He did win.
Yeah.
Okay. That one I remember being like sad and depressing, and I had nothing against his performance. It's just like at that time, for where I was ready for the next Age of Cage.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that movie. I had read the book for some weird reason. I don't read a lot of books. Someone told me, I had heard about it, and then I saw the movie, and Nick Cage was great. It's a great movie. But the thing that's crazy is he does that movie where he plays an alcoholic, wins the Oscar, right?
Yep.
And then leans into what? Hardcore action films.
Yeah.
Big budget action films.
Oh yeah, like he utilized that. He's like, okay, I made it. I'm a star, and he was front and center.
Yeah.
He was front and center on all 3. And think of this: those 3 movies that The Rock, Con Air, and Face Off.
We need
We're
to dive
talking-
into each of those specifically.
Specifically, because we're talking, what, 20 years later? Is it 20 years? I can't do math.
More than 20.
Yeah. But think, they transcend time and space because you can pull clips, GIFs, and sound bites from all 3 of those movies that are still relevant to this day. The picture you pulled up, that's probably the most popular GIF that's out there when you're just like, somebody's like chill, relax. I mean, you know that picture. I mean, and that was, obviously that was Con Air.
So what do you think about the theory that The Rock, which The Rock is good, it's in the Criterion Collection.
Yeah.
It's one of those action films that sort of like set the tone for most of the action films after it. But what do you think of the theory that, what was it? Sean Connery's character is actually James Bond.
Oh, I've never
story?
heard that.
So apparently there's a theory that Sean Connery is essentially playing James Bond older.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, now you want to watch The Rock, right?
Yeah, no, I 100% want to watch The Rock. Wow, I had no idea. I mean, I just remember, again, at that time, loving that movie. And I lined up for all of them. But yeah, for sure, The Rock. Just because my mom her James Bond was Sean Connery, for sure. So I remember even, she was in her 60s around. I remember she was just like, we're going to see The Rock. And she was going for Sean Connery. I was going for Nick Cage. It's because it's him. He's the Rocket Man.
Yeah. I think I appreciate The Rock. I think it's a good film. It's probably not my favorite of this era of
That
Nick Cage.
that trilogy, right? In a way, that's the Nick Cage Second Coming trilogy.
That's the Nick Cage action trilogy, I think, that everyone remembers.
Yeah.
But I honestly prefer Con Air to The Rock.
I mean, I can't say no.
The Con Air is that's like I don't want to be cliche. It's like cinematic heroin, but it's like that. It's just like the feel good action movie that you always want to see, and it's perfect. And Nick Cage's performance is just over the top enough to not be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's also pretty ridiculous. But that's a perfect summer blockbuster action movie.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Well, I mean, you can even say his hair, right? That was a big. If the internet was around back then, it would have been a big deal because I think a lot of people talked about the Con Air hair. And this was pre Twitter. I mean, I may have been chatting about this on AIM, right? The Con Air hair.
You know what was even as spectacular as the hair is Nicolas Cage's super kicks in that movie.
Oh yes.
I don't know if he has any martial arts training, but you could not tell in that movie from the kicks.
What a freaking great premise! That I would love to go see it. Like if we get like a showing here in Austin, I'd love to go see that. Just a bunch of convicts and prisoners getting transported on a plane. That is freaking great. And then you had what's his name in it too? He played the officer.
Everybody's in that movie.
Yeah, Cyrus the Virus was John Malkovich. We were just talking about
you
that.
You got Danny Trejo, Dave Chappelle, Steve
Chappelle.
Buscemi.
That's right.
One of the greatest casts of all time.
John Cusack was in this.
John Cusack is in
just coming off his, he was no longer the 80s guy. He was in an action movie playing. I just remember he wore those 90s type sandals with his suit, right? That was a big part of his character. But yeah, have you watched it lately?
Yes, I watch it every week. It's not a joke.
No, I know. I know you're a huge fan, and I feel like it was a point in time that captured an essence that it doesn't matter if you're ever going to think that anything, whether it's usually if wardrobe looks dated, but the content itself feels timeless.
The wardrobe doesn't look dated in this movie, though. That's the thing. It's pretty smart. Mostly everybody's in prison garbs. They're all just wearing denims.
Yes, so that did help.
But
right?
I mean, it's just, it is it just does everything. It takes cliches past the point of absurdity where they come around back to making sense again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It's a perfect movie when, everything Nick Cage says, and he's the most, he's like the most, moral dude ever. You know what I'm saying? He just wants to get home to his daughter. He only went to prison because he had to beat the fuck out of a guy for disrespecting his wife. It wasn't his fault.
Right.
The government trained him to kill. The government trained him to kill. It's not his fault.
What is he supposed to do with these tools?
That's right. He's a government-trained killer. It's not fair that they put him in jail.
Yeah. I agree. So here's the thing that really sticks out to me, and I don't know if this is a good thing or bad. It's the only part about this film. I'm not sure why it happened, but I guess this is what's going to scream that I was a movie that was made at the time period that it was made. The song was Trisha Yearwood, How Do I Live?
What about it?
It's just that because that song, I feel like that song was just like something that's going to just keep that portion back in time.
I feel like you have not been to dive bar karaoke in a little bit.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's a bad song.
That's a staple. That song is very much in the mindset of a lot of folks today.
No. Again, and I'm not saying it's a bad song, but what I'm saying is when you hear, say, Steven Tyler singing, I don't want to close my eyes, you think of Armageddon, and it wouldn't be the song that you would call a match, but those songs, I think those songs I wouldn't consider timeless. Not saying they're bad, but it's going to remind people the time period that the song is made in, if that makes sense. That it's not going to, and I don't mean that as a detriment. I was like, oh, I remember that song. But if you were just watching the movie without that song, like you said, this could be a movie that was made last year. But the song is what's going to keep it hinged to the time period it was made. Because it brings me back. I consider songs bookmarks in time. You listen to a song, it's like, oh, this is when I was in high school. Oh, this is when I got my ass kicked. Oh, this is when something good happened to me. So when you hear those songs, especially movie soundtrack songs, it could shackle it to the year that it was made. Because songs, even when songs are timeless, they will keep it locked in the time period, right? So I think, okay, this song is 1997. And maybe that's not a coincidence, because wasn't Armageddon around that same time?
This is a couple years after. Because
right?
I think 95 to like 2000 was peak Michael Bay.
So like the power ballad just keeps it there. And again, I don't mean that as an insult, but I think that's what keeps it Locked in Time.
I disagree. I think Con Air is timeless.
The movie.
I think it transcends all barriers as far as like blockbuster cinema filmmaking. Because like, what do they even what come? The only thing that come like I feel like the Fast and the Furious series right now is trying to grab a lot of Con Air vibe. You know what I mean?
Yes, you're absolutely. That just hit me. That is probably the perfect comparison of are we going to look back at the Fast series the way we look back at the Nick Cage action trilogy?
Some folks are, I think, but the Nick Cage action trilogy is just. I mean, when you talk about The Rock, Con Air, and Face Off, we haven't even gotten to Face Off yet.
No.
Which is, you know, if you were one of the kids at the time that was hanging out at the video store a bunch, you had already seen John Woo movies by that point,
right? And
you had seen he had already crossed over to mainstream U.S. films. He did The Replacement Killer. No, he didn't do Replacement Killers. He did Hard Target, which was actually
Hard Target. Yep,
Hard Target, which is great actually. But you hadn't seen him do his classic sort of two-gun gangster film.
Yeah.
And then you get Face Off, which comes out of nowhere. And just, for a lot of people, that's like the movie Bible. You know? People swear by Face Off as an action movie.
Well, think of
Is there a better action movie? I'm not sure.
You nailed it. Cinema heroine is this trilogy, and it's because, again, we were just talking. I mean, look, that it's 2022, and a Face-Off shirt made it into the Adam Project. That's how it's transcending time. And you're absolutely right that, think of this, that premise back then was a huge stretch of like, I'm literally going to take this person's face off and switch it. And you're not even going to, so it was already, if somebody pitched you to that, they're going to be like, nah, that's not going to work. That sounds crazy. What about the body? What about everything about it? But you went in and saw that movie and gave zero foxes about that premise being a stretch. And the plausibility, you were all in with it.
Hey, what about the magnetic boots?
Oh, I forgot about the magnetic boots. I probably have not. I've rewatched this a bunch of times. Probably not as much as you have.
I wonder did John Woo come up with the script for this? I wonder who, because I picture, someone pitching this to John Woo and him thinking it's awesome, or is he pitching it to the studio and trying to explain to them why Nick Cage and John Travolta swapping faces and magnetic boots would be a good idea for a movie?
Written by Mike Werb and Michael Collery. So I don't.
For a lot of folks, that was the first introduction to like the Hong Kong cinema action style. They hadn't seen it yet.
Oh no, it was
I don't know. I don't know if you were back in the day hanging out at the video store. If you rented Hard Boiled and
I remember
the Killer. Hard Boiled.
Oh, the Killer.
Insane.
Yes. Yeah.
And so now you've got this guy. You've got the guy who did Hard Boiled, making a $100 million action film with Nick Cage and golden guns.
Oh man, no, it was. Oh yeah, and they're going to make a cameo in his film coming up. In that, so here's a question. Again, cinema heroine. These three films. How did these three films escape a trilogy or a sequel?
I think it was a different time. Now pretty much all of blockbuster Hollywood is very IP focused. At the time, they were still willing to make an original concept.
Yeah.
Now you can only make an original concept on Netflix. Everything that's going to the theaters is an IP, a board game, a book, whatever, a breakfast cereal.
Yeah.
And they turn it into a movie. So back then, they had an original idea. They wanted to do more, but those loose ends were not already tied up. So you've got you got Pattinson doing the current Batman. I'll bet you anything he's already signed up for 3 movies.
Yeah,
that's part of the deal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They didn't realize
they lock them
we
in.
need to lock people in for 3 face-offs. That's 6 faces. We need you for a 6-face deal.
A 6. They should just call it that, not a 6-picture deal, 6-face deal. So here's another serious question. Since I know I love these Tim, but I think you take the love a little bit deeper than I on these 3 films. Out of these 3, which one would you like to see revisited as a requel?
As a requel,
Which one?
zero.
None of them.
None of them.
None of them.
None of them should be touched as a requel. Which one I would like to see revisited as a sequel? Con Air, 100%.
Okay, Con Air. So you just want a straight up sequel.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No requel needed for me. Thank you very much. I think there's a tweet that someone put out once. I think whenever, because now we've got streaming services, we've got everything, and they're taking all kinds of old IPs and redoing them, whatever. And someone put out a tweet that just said, "We demand Con Air 2." And I retweet it probably, every other month or so. Because I think it's important. We do demand Con Air 2. Even though I heard Nick Cage said he would never do he hates that movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, although, like, now, I wonder after this film coming out, it's going to be a hit. We're going to be there first day. I wonder if he would revisit it for the next Age of Cage.
Whatever. I don't know what studio made Con Air, but please, I think it would be a solid idea to just go ahead and pony up the cash and make Con Air 2. Get the whole cast back. Get them all back, even though they're all huge stars now. Get Danny Trejo, Dave Chappelle, Steve Buscemi.
You can get them all.
Get them all back. And the Bubblegum Shrimp guy as well.
Oh, that's right. He was Netflix is here's the problem. Netflix has the most money out of most of these studios, and you'd be getting it direct to Netflix. Would you be okay with that?
I mean, if that's what I got to do, yeah, I guess so.
But I mean, yeah, I understand seeing it.
Netflix is kind enough to throw their movies in the theater for a week.
That is a nice new feature. I was actually really close to going to see The Adam Project because I do want the theatrical experience. But yeah, so that cinema, that trilogy right there, it could be argued that that's when he started the age kind of simmered down, like because he came out with a 1, 2, 3, and those movies everybody loved.
Basically he coasted on those movies for the next few years because he didn't have a whole lot of success after that. They were successful movies, but he coasted on that heat for a while.
Well, DL, I'm gonna just say it here, and it's on the YouTube that I can't take it back. I fucking loved City of Angels.
Oh yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. It made me cry.
You seen the original?
No, I've not seen the original.
It's a remake of a movie called Wings of Desire.
Oh, okay. No. Oh yeah, Wings of Desire. I did not see that. I was a huge fan of that, and it is a movie that I would put. There's like a spiritual top 10 type movies that, like, if you want to be moved by something that goes beyond any kind of theology, and I think it's a little bit more accepted right now, and to me that's kind of one of them.
Yeah, no, that's a good movie.
Dennis Franz seeing his ass, but I mean, if you already watched NYPD Blue, you already were familiar with that.
You should
track.
Watch Wings of Desire, the movie that's based on.
I am actually going to absolutely do that.
There's like I forgot who directed it, but they were way ahead of the ball on a lot of things. There's like, how the premise is in Wings, they're like angels and they're observing stuff, right? And they can see, they're watching all the time, and they basically see people's lives.
Oh, okay.
So it's in City of Angels, right? That's what's going on.
Yeah.
In Wings of Desire, it's the same premise. It's all the same story. But there's this whole thing they do where the guy, I guess, who would be the Nick Cage character, is watching the actor who plays Columbo.
Peter Falk?
Peter Falk. And they actually got him in the movie to play Peter Falk. And the angel character is watching him shoot Columbo. Oh. And then, watching his side conversations where he's thinking about how he's acting and stuff like that. And it just adds a level of, I guess, realism to it that it'd never been done before. I think that's part of the reason. I don't know why they didn't do it in the actual remake, but that was like a big part of it.
That's crazy. That's pretty meta for, when was that? 60s? 70s?
No, I think it was only a few years before they remade it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to check that out. Here's the only thing I might struggle missing. And I don't want the world to see me.
And we've been kicked off YouTube.
And not for the reasons you think. But yeah, Renato got that right away. That I can't listen to that song and not think of the scenes there. Because it was such a swerve that it just blew me away, that like, oh my God, that's just like, this is, and it's such his life, right? You just like, careful what you wish for. You might get it all, and then some you don't want. That's pretty much what happened on that, and that was Meg Ryan before the plastic surgery went a little cuckoo on her.
That
right?
sold a lot of records, that movie.
Yeah, I think so. So that was
who sings that song again?
That is. Let me pull it up here. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's one of those things that you're like, I didn't expect you to ask it, and then I didn't know what it.
Nobody ever thought they'd have to go back and figure out who sung
Goo Goo Dolls. Oh
Goo
my
Goo
God.
Dolls. There you go.
Why didn't? Yeah, Goo Goo Dolls. But so after that was 98. So he was coming off. I was like, okay, we're simmering down from that. And Renato is just like, he's a little bit.
That was a big hit, though.
Yeah.
So he's still having hits.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Goo Goo Dolls was such a great punk band just before City of Angels. They shifted to pop rock. I guess they would be considered punk back then, right?
I don't remember anything.
Well, Renato, he was in, I believe he was like in a punk band, so I trust his judgment on this. Didn't they just, what was it? What was this? I thought, no, maybe I'm thinking of something else. Oh, I thought Dave Grohl, right? He just had that movie that just came out, right? That horror flick that just came out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know, the Studio 666.
That's it. Yeah, that was it. So I don't know. That just popped in my head. But let's not go down the dirt road. So after that, he had some ones that had the same type of vibe, but he was getting a little bit grittier. And that was 8mm, bringing out the dead. I felt like those. We got Dark Cage. This is the Dark Age of Cage.
This is like him trying to work with big directors now, because you've got Snake Eyes, which came right after, which is Brian De Palma, which is way underrated. Also, you should revisit that if you. The first shot of the movie is like 40 minutes long or something like that. And then, what was it? 8mm was actually the follow-up to 7.
Oh, like
the guy who wrote 7, 8mm was after that blew up. This was his next.
Oh, okay,
script.
Spiritual sequel, not an actual sequel.
Not an actual sequel, but it was
sequel,
like the
gotcha.
guy. Yeah, the dude who wrote 7. This was his next script, and then Bringing Out the Dead was Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, and what did you think of that one? I remember it being really dark.
I didn't love it. You know, at the time I was a little disappointed. It's Nick Cage and Martin Scorsese. It didn't all really come together for me. And I've revisited here and there. It's okay. I would say it's one of the lesser Scorseses.
Okay, yeah, I can buy that. Yeah, because I just remember like not only dark, not content. I just remember the movie being really dark, and it's just like Nick Cage is kind of known for the sad eyes, right? Sad eyes. I think that really he brought that out. But 8mm, that's when he really started getting in. That was all about the snuff filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
That actually had a pretty thick cast too, right? You had Joaquin Phoenix and James Gandolfini.
It was a big movie. Like I said, it was the 7 follow-up.
Okay.
The spiritual sequel.
The spiritual sequel. All right, so then after that, this is when he's okay. Like the next set of films we had. Gone in 60 Seconds. So I think he was going to revisit, like, okay, I'm going to get back into the action films. And I feel like I remember people digging that. What are your opinions on Gone in 60 Seconds?
It's passable. I don't think it's entirely all that memorable. It's an okay heist movie, but I think it's one of the lesser Cage films.
Because you had, again, another thick cast for that time.
It's another remake.
I mean, you had Angelina Jolie, Giovanni Ribisi, hot 90s actor Robert Duvall, Vinnie Jones. Yeah, I mean, Will Patton. All right. So, I remember that box art. I mean, obviously you get those on there. So I think that was him, again, leading into the star power, the star cred that he earned.
He's action guy at this point. This is Nick Cage action star.
And do you think that now, all of a sudden, after that, he started to get kind of burnt out on that a little bit? Because then he went into Shadow of the Vampire, Christmas Carol, the movie. Oh, Wind Talkers. I do remember Wind Talkers. That was again. Was that?
I think that was another John Woo movie.
Was that John Woo? Wind Talkers. Yeah, let me see. Yep, directed by John Woo. What are your feelings on? Oh, we got Mark Ruffalo in that one too.
I don't think I ever saw Wind Talkers.
Okay. I don't really remember. I mean,
so now we've got a lot of Nicolas Cage sprawl going on because he's a huge action star. He's way over. He's got an Oscar. So at this point, they're just throwing roles at him. Anything he wants to do, he can do. So he did Gone 60 Seconds, The Family Man. I don't know what's going on there. Captain Corelli's Mandolin.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I never saw. Probably didn't see I didn't see anything in this gap up until Adaptation.
oh yeah, that was his meta. And I think that's when he started leaning into, should I be doing something else other than action? And I think here's
Well, not quite yet. I think it still took a little while.
Yeah, there's still another one coming up we're going to talk about. But I think here Renato has a good comment I want to share. So Ethan Hawke once said that his favorite actor is Nicolas Cage because Cage still channels that type of acting that is more common in live action theater than movies. And I would agree with that. Even if you go to the Nick Cage gif that just like jumps right out at you when it does that.
He's a human gif.
He is a human gif. I just feel like he had. I agree, I can totally see that he has that energy. That he really just like. It's got to be something else. Like if you're just somebody that's like in acting for fun, and then you have to do something, some kind of scene with Nick Cage, you're gonna be like, "Holy shit! You're going for a ride." You're going for a ride.
He commits, and that's why he's still around. That's why he's still great.
Yeah, and he
does not.
Commit to the bit, yeah.
He commits to the bit. Whatever he's doing, he's in it 100%. Whether he's doing, a $200 million action movie, or if he's doing, a bit part in a straight-to-video thing.
Yeah,
you get 100% Nick Cage.
You get all Cage, and we're gonna talk about a little bit in the third age of Cage.
So from Adaptation, we've got more kind of like sprawl. We've got
for Adaptation, wasn't that a follow-up to what we were talking about with? Was that being John Malkovich? Like that was after Adaptation? Same guy, right?
That was Charlie Kaufman's follow-up movie.
And again, I feel like John Malkovich is has a very similar trajectory where he kind of went through these different iterations. Not as thick as Nick, but I feel like the same type of people would be willing to do something like being John Malkovich with the unbearable weight of 100%. Talent.
Why doesn't he do more? Where's John Malkovich anyway?
I don't know. Every year I watch his SNL skit where he's reading "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" to those kids, and I laugh every freaking time. We talked about that. Pon Natal, he's coming for your toes.
That's a good sketch.
Yes. So so the next one we did that was a producer. Matchstick Men. I do remember that. I don't remember watching it.
More Nicolas Cage sprawl.
Sam Rockwell. Yeah, that's his sprawl. And now he went back into action with National Treasure,
which I feel it was a hit, but sort of a goofball kind of Indiana Jones rip.
Yeah, like I don't know if it was supposed to work as well as it did.
No, I think his performance in it puts it over. If it would have been some other, whatever straightforward kind of actor in that, I don't think it would have done as well because it's pretty cornball. But they were doing a lot of that at the time, right? You had The Mummy, you had all kinds of things like that where everybody just wanted to do adventure.
Dude, but Nicolas Cage, Harvey Keitel, John Voight. I got John Voight's car. Diana Kruger, Sean Bean. I mean, that's pretty. Christopher Plummer. I mean, that's pretty thick casting there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's pretty cool. So I think he started leaning into that credit. Now the question is, and I'm curious, when does the second age of Cage end? Now that I'm going through this.
I think the second age of Cage ends officially. Let me see it. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's at World Trade Center.
Is that when it?
World Trade Center was his last sort of high famous director, high concept, sort of like Oscar type movie, right? This is from Oscar to Oscar contender. He did Leaving Las Vegas, And now we get to World Trade Center, which they made in 2006.
Okay.
And it's sort of like gunning for another Oscar there, and Oliver Stone directing and everything like that. And I think that kind of caps off the second Age.
You nailed it. Okay, that is right. Because, again, the first Age ended with the actual Oscar, and now we'll say the second Age ended. And that's almost another decade period, 2006. He went another 10 years, and then World Trade Center. Yeah, I think he definitely went for the Oscars. In the same year that he became famous again with an Audible gif of "Not the bees," right, with the Wicker Man.
Right. So right after World Trade Center comes The Wicker Man, which was a massive fail.
Yeah. I just remember "Not the Bees."
It seems ridiculous to remake a movie whose entire sort of like fame or notoriety is based on a twist, and everybody knows the twist by now. So why do you remake that?
Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, so he did. What was it? He did.
Oh, I forgot he
Wicker
was
Man. Ghost Rider. He was Ghost Rider.
Right.
Back before superhero movies were a thing.
Right. And you think, and yeah, now with multiverse stuff, does he build up enough cred to make it into the MCU as a variant of Ghost Rider? Because the rumor is the next Ghost Rider is going to be Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. So but everybody knows Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider. But Ben Affleck is not going to be a variant of Daredevil. So do you think that Ghost Rider is going to go down with Ben Affleck's Daredevil and Josh Brolin's the Western one that he was in? Do you think you think there's going to be no variant?
What? I don't understand your question. What are you asking?
Is this next movie coming out going to give him enough cred that you're going to want to see him as a variant Ghost Rider?
I'll ask you the question. Would you rather see Nick Cage as Ghost Rider or Norman Reedus as Ghost Rider?
I want to see Norman Reedus.
Really?
Yeah, I want to see Norman. There's some, because I don't feel like they let Nicolas Cage be full on Nicolas Cage. If you're giving me the Nicolas Cage from from Nicolas Cage, some of the later movies were when you can tell it was full on Cage. I feel like he was shackled by chains, ironically, as his Ghost Rider.
Not in part 2. Part 2 is he's as crazy as he wants to be.
Oh, really? I don't.
Did you not see the sequels?
I did not see it.
Yeah, he's completely off leash in that movie.
Really? I did not see that.
Highly recommend, from the directors of Crank and Crank 2.
Oh, wow. Wait, oh yeah, Spirit of Vengeance, 2011. I did. So that pretty much was. He did get his Hellboy type sequel there, basically where a lot of people think the second one was better than the first one, and they went all out. Jonah Hex is the one I was thinking. I don't know why I was blanking on Josh Brolin. That was his first foray into comics. But I would like to see him as a variant. But if you're asking me to see the full on, I think Norman Reedus has really earned. I think he's earned a shot at that role for sure. I don't know if I'd like, again, but it would be cool to see it as a variant. But then again, would you want to see a Ben Affleck as Daredevil again? I mean, I guess we can do a whole nother show on that.
I think it's a tough call for Ghost Rider because you're essentially a CGI flaming skull. So I don't know that who's necessarily in that role is as important as whether or not you can act with a CGI flaming skull.
I think it's about the bone structure where you can almost look like you. Kind of like Willem Dafoe. Like, you don't need to put on that Green Goblin mask. We'll make you look like a goblin without putting on a mask.
Just smile.
Because he just had that, which, again, I'm sorry we take us down these dirt roads. I read that anytime he went Green Goblin, they put the gap back in his teeth. And when he was Osborn, he didn't have the gap. I guess that was.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, that was new to me.
I tell you what, as far as Ghost Rider goes, though, Nick Cage would be my first choice. Norman Reedus, whatever. Second choice for me would be actually go ahead and bring back Gabriel Luna, Austin's own Gabriel Luna, and make him Ghost Rider again. I think he deserved a shot. I know Terminator Salvation didn't do all that well, but
I thought you were talking because was he Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I know
he was Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's a local. He's from here.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess they do have a couple of variants that they could work from on there. So I don't know. We're going to find out here pretty quick on some of the castings with with Doctor Strange coming up, I think that's when they're going to really start drawing a line in the sand. Anyway, back on Cage. I forgot he was in Werewolf Women of the SS. He was in the Grindhouse trailer as Fu Manchu.
Yep.
Yep. So that's a nice nod to Austin, which he was just in town for the premiere of this film, and we didn't even realize he was going to be. We should have realized he was going to be here.
Well, somebody realized it. Did you see the person who put up like 1,000 flyers and asked Nick Cage to call him?
Oh no, I did not.
Someone put up like 1,000 flyers all over the place that said, "Nick Cage, I'm your biggest fan. Please call me at this number."
Really?
And he called him. Yeah.
What, Renato, was that
Take
you?
that, social media.
Just went old school. He went like 80s Japanese wrestling event at the Egg Dome. Just paper the town. Just put it everywhere. Don't think Nick Cage is big into making sequels. I'd like to see him as either a villain or just some sort of one and done movie hero. Mephisto would be, oh my, can you imagine if they made him Mephisto? Mephisto has become infamous for never even getting one single frame on any show or movie, and I think people are frothing for Mephisto.
I think the thing that would keep Nick Cage from being in the MCU is that you cannot control him.
Yeah.
You cannot tell him how to act. You can't tell him how to be this MCU character from the comic book. Oh, that's not like the comic book was. I'm Nick Cage. I'm doing it the way Nick Cage does it.
Yeah, I'm Nick Cage.
I'm not doing it the way Marvel does it.
Oh, before we jump into the third Age of Cage, let's just go to the side tour because I don't think this falls into any Age of Cage. Tim Burton's Superman with Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Right.
Where does that fall into the Age of? Because I feel like people know that, and all you saw was him trying on a suit, and that was literally all you got.
I think that was supposed to be in that second Age of Cage, like right. That was after his action uprising, right? That was. I want to say that was the late '90s, like '99 or something like that.
Okay.
So I think that was when he was at his peak. He got cast as Superman.
Release the Burton cut. Do we want to see Keaton as Batman and Nicolas Cage as Superman? And then what would Winona Ryder be Wonder Woman? If we're talking about a release the Burton cut of the DC, that would be interesting. I know we keep going down these dirt roads. All right, let's get into we're in Age 3. He did not get the World Trade Center Oscar. We went through Wicker Man, Ghost Rider. We had a sequel to National Treasure, Book of Secrets.
Book of Secrets.
Yes. One of my favorite titles for a movie I don't think I've seen, Bangkok Dangerous.
I never saw the Nicolas Cage version, but that's a remake of like a film from Thailand.
Oh, okay.
A Thai action movie.
I love the title. So I feel like now he's just like trying anything that he can. So he was in the next one that I remember was Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. You know, my brother, R.I.P., writing his script of Confessions of an NYPD Gangster based on his true life story. I remember him really digging into Bad Lieutenant.
Here's a piece of trivia. His name in that movie in Port of New Orleans, that's Terrence McDonough.
Yep.
That's the name of the character. Now, his name in Raising Arizona was H.I. McDonough.
Really?
So is there a connection there? Is that a variant or a relation?
I would like that. I would like Bad Lieutenant to be a sequel of Raising Arizona, basically Raising New Orleans. I think that would be cool. What else do we have? Okay, so then he did Astro Boy. He was the voice. I do remember that. Here's another one. He stuck with the comic book fair with Kick-Ass. He actually had that was a really good role, but I think that's when a lot of people were not fully ready for that style of comic, but the Mark Millar, because that was
Like the deconstruction of like comic book heroes.
Yeah, I don't
and
think
stuff.
they were ready, but I mean that movie, with him as the dad, it was great. And then you had that was Chloe Grace Moretz, Welcome to the Party, pal. People really dug her, but a lot of that had to do with the chemistry that she had with her film dad, Nick Cage.
Well, I think the thing that's really cool about him is he's playing sort of a Batman spoof in that movie.
Yeah.
But you notice, right? He's doing the Adam West voice the whole movie.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He's doing Adam West as Batman, as this knockoff Batman. Which that's why Nick Cage is great. Like,
Yeah.
he just comes up with this stuff.
That's fantastic. I did not know that. But now that you say it, because I hear his voice in my head. Wow, that's really good. Good call. We had two very similar movies after this, right? With The Sorcerer's Apprentice and the very, didn't we see this movie, but we didn't, Season of the Witch.
Which I believe is just made up of leftover footage of The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah, it just feels like they were basically the same film. Next up, I was very familiar with this movie because it was shot right our neighboring state, and I remember, Randy lives right on the border. Was Drive Angry, and that was filmed right there in Shreveport.
Was Randy in that one?
I don't remember if he had a role in it or not, but I remember pretty much everyone that was in our circle at the time.
At the
was trying
time
to get in that.
that was actually in my small actors circle, one of our friends actually got into that one, and she had a really big role. Her name was Jamie Tier, and she had done a few YouTube shorts with us, and she landed that role in Drive Angry. She was the babysitter.
Oh, okay.
She's in
That's
the whole
awesome.
movie, and she never gets a line, but she was in pretty much the whole movie.
That's awesome. I had no idea. I remember liking the film too. I mean, I remember.
I dug it. I thought it was a really good movie.
Yeah, it was a really good film. Here's a question. So we're saying that this is the third Age of Cage, like starting at that time period. But man, there's a lot of movies between 2006 to now. Would you consider that? So we're about to get into the fourth Age of Cage, and the third Age of Cage was somewhat sedated and letting him do whatever he wants.
Well, I mean, the third Age of Cage, I think, is the longest, and we're hitting the end of it now. It's ending like this month.
Okay.
But like, if you notice his film trajectory here in this third age, it goes pretty downward. Okay.
Yeah, it's all over the place,
Somewhere in here, as you're looking at this timeline, you can put in Nick Cage forgot to pay his taxes. And
Yeah, I think that was 2013 with the Croods.
So now you've got all these movies. You've got a lot of straight-to-video stuff.
Yeah.
That he's making, right? And when you're Nick Cage or Bruce Willis or whoever, and you're doing straight-to-video, you're getting paid $1 million a day. Mm-hmm. That's your role. But you know what? I mean, you need to pay your taxes. So you got to do what you
Actors
gotta
act,
do.
man. Booker's book. Actors act. I mean, he's getting it. He's GSD.
He had some really great movies in there, just sort of like tucked in, like Joe. Have you ever seen Joe?
No, I didn't.
Joe is fantastic. You should watch it. It's another Austin movie done here locally. Just awesome. But a lot of it is just straight to video fare. We got Army of One, Arsenal, Vengeance, A Love Story, Inconceivable, The Human Burrow, like all kinds of just like stuff. But like, I think from this straight to video fare, he kept on doing little indies in between, and that's sort of what kept him relevant, right? He had Joe, he had Mom and Dad, which is really good, and then I think this took us all the way to Mandy, and I think Mandy begins the new Age of Cage.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I definitely see that as a start. Yeah, because he made the Croods. He put the Croods in there, and the Croods basically afforded him to just have fun. Let him be Nick Cage, and I think you're right. All those movies you just named, because when you start getting into Mandy, that's when I feel like he started sneaking back into the zeitgeist of people were cool. It's like, oh, Nick Cage, he's just doing these quirky movies, and Mandy was bonkers, absolutely. But I feel like Mandy in a way put Shudder back on. I mean, was that Shudder's biggest movie? Like that really put him on the map.
That was one of their big gets at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was huge. So having that in there, and then his obviously, ironically, Teen Titans Go. He played Superman. He was into the Spider-Verse. He was he? Oh no, he was Spider-Man Noir. So I mean, he was getting these voice roles that are basically affording him to do the fun stuff he wants. And we'll go through some of these: Running with the Devil, Kill Chain, Primal, Jiu-Jitsu.
These are all straight to video movies.
Yes.
Right? These are not like he's still doing the straight to video stuff here.
So here's the two that really stick out to me. And I haven't watched it yet, and I'm saving it for the right moment, but I want you to tell the story you told me about it. Willy's Wonderland on Hulu. Tell the viewers the story that you told me about booking Nick Cage for Willy's Wonderland.
Well, he doesn't have a single line in that movie.
right? And
It's
that
a
was
completely silent performance. And I don't know if this was just part of his contract, or maybe they couldn't do Nick Cage's fee, which I'm sure is $1 million a day. But he does the whole film without doing a single line, and it still works.
I cannot wait. I've been saving it. I have not watched it yet, but I love the idea. It's just like, here's my fee. Oh, we can't afford that. All right, I'll give you this fee, but I'm not saying a word.
I'm not doing lines. You should watch Prisoners of the Ghostland if that's still on Shudder. That's a great one.
Oh, I do remember that one on there. I have not watched that one yet either. And his title, his character's name is just Hero in that.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, that's cool.
It's like Escape from New York in a post-apocalyptic wasteland with samurais.
Oh my God, that sounds great. So, do we have another trilogy embedded here? Do we say that you put Prisoners of the Ghostland, Willy's Wonderland, and the movie we went and saw together, Pig?
I mean, I don't know that those necessarily...
Now, Pig might not be.
I think Pig is what's bringing him back into the mainstream, because that was way different than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I just rewatched it on Hulu the other day. It's a really great film.
Really?
But it sort of brought him back down to the serious role type stuff.
He had I remember seeing it, and what caught me during the film is you were waiting for Nick, and this is coming off seeing the trailer for Willy's Wonderland, seeing him, in Mandy. You're like, oh man, Nick Cage is going to be Nick Cage any second, and it felt like a weird simmering of like any second he's going to burst out and become Nick Cage, and he never does. And I thought it was just like, and I thought that was really interesting that his real life, who he is as an actor and what leaked into the script and added this layer of tension that would not have been there if any other actor did that.
No, because you're waiting for Nick Cage to do Nick Cage.
So I was just like, that really stuck with me, that it was just like he was just simmering and you're waiting for it to happen, and it never happens. And that didn't make the film bad, but it's just like, you felt a little bit swerved, but not in a bad way. You're like, oh, okay, I didn't know you were going for an Oscar again. Sorry.
Now, when you watch it again and you realize there's not going to be some point where he goes crazy. And then, spoiler.
All right.
Nick Cage beats the villain with food.
Yeah.
He beats him. He destroys him by cooking him a meal.
Yeah. And it was so sedate, and you were waiting. All right, he's going to stick a fork in his eye. All right, he's going to jam this down his throat. And it never happens, especially because it was an emotional performance, because he's just like, I just want my pig. And it just never happened. So, again, it's a great film if you're ready for, I would have called it Oscar fare. So that brings us to today.
Now we're entering the fourth age of Nick Cage.
The fourth age, yeah. So there's 4 ages here, with 2 films that, for the second one, all I saw was a picture, and I'm already so ready to see it. But the first one, obviously, we talked about it, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, where we're going to see the being John Malkovich moment for Nick Cage, where Nick Cage is going to get to be Nick Cage.
And he's deconstructing himself.
Yeah. And it's great. And it just, the title, everything about it, the casting, it just works so well. So this is coming out in next week? No, next month. But yeah, we got Pedro Pascal, Neil Patrick Harris, Tiffany Haddish. I mean, we got great casting here that I think are going to really play off Nick Cage well. And then the second one, we posted a picture. Or did we post? No, I did not post that picture yet. There it is. Renfield. But he's going to be playing Dracula. I didn't know I needed Nick Cage as Dracula until I saw this picture. I did not know I needed it.
Who else would you cast as Dracula? That seems like perfect casting.
No, yeah. Again, it was just like, wasn't he always Dracula? I mean, because I don't know. You jump around. Before you even getting to sparkling vampires, we had Fright Night, vampires, and then we had Lost Boy. Then we had Christopher Lee. Grew up with George Hamilton. This is almost strikes at me as the George Hamilton Dracula, right? Love at First Bite. but a little bit. But then again,
That's a deep cut.
yeah. I
The
just
kids haven't seen that one.
oh man, they need to see this.
Here's a double feature: Love at First Bite and Zorro the Gay Blade.
Oh yeah. Oh man, there was a great. I remember in Love at First Bite. I don't drink wine and I don't smoke shit. That one always stuck with me. And then when he was talking about 1, so 2, 3 bits of peso, all for Zorro, stand up and say so, something along those lines, and Zorro the Gay Blade. But yeah, that could be a double feature for sure. But what I like about this movie is we're getting Nick Cage as Dracula, but I've always been, what made me think of Love at First Bite was George Hamilton saying Renfield. Like this is going to be about Renfield, not necessarily about Dracula, and it's going to be Nicholas Hoult. You might know him from the X-Men. He played the Beast, right? Oh, he was also in Mad Max Fury Road?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, I did not know that. Yeah, he was Hank McCoy in Matthew Vaughn's X-Men. And I feel like he was just in another movie recently that I saw him in Those Who Wish Me Dead. I do remember him in that as well. So he's going to be playing Renfield. And I don't know, I remember Renfield like eating cockroaches and just like doing the bidding. We had that version of Renfield in the original Fright Night, with the housemate that was living with him that was basically luring all the people. That guy, I don't remember his name, but he always kind of freaked me out. That was his version of Renfield. So I'm curious where they're going to go with this. And they got Awkwafina, so they got the good luck charm. We're going to see anything that has Awkwafina in it. So I don't know how much you've heard about this film.
I don't think a lot's been leaked yet or whatever, but this is the first thing we're seeing is the Nick Cage as the dude.
And I didn't know it was based on a pitch by Walking Dead's Robert Kirkman. I did not know that. So I wonder if this is going to be, it is a dark fantasy horror comedy. Would you consider Fright Night a comedy?
Fright Night? No.
But you just remember at the time where just like you got laughs when you weren't expecting it, right? Oh, you're so cool, Brewster. Like, I don't know if you were supposed to get those laughs with Evil Ed, but I don't, with Roddy McDowell and stuff, but I just remember it being, I guess, not a straight up comedy, but I remember it feeling like lighter fare.
Well, everybody was doing Spielberg in the 80s. Every movie was like everything that was like a genre picture was a Spielberg impression for a while, Oh man. So you had to have the sort of the perspective from younger characters or kids or something like that, and you had to have some light comedy thrown into whatever you were doing, whether it was horror or sci-fi or whatever.
Yeah, like when even awkward, like I might die, but I'm gonna just get this one-liner in before I die.
Exactly.
So we did see a little bit of that, but that's pretty much we got a lot in there for that 4 Ages of Cage. I'm excited for the 4th Age of Cage. It might be time for a commercial break though. We might have to get our faculties because that was a good Age of Cage retrospective. Yeah.